Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started on the committee of the whole meeting for July 23rd, 2025 at 1 p.m. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. We respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the unceded traditional territory of the Secwepemc. Approval of the agenda, recommendation of the committee of the whole meeting agenda for July 23rd, 2025 be approved as circulated. Councillor McCabe, Councillor Beach, all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. We're going right into delegations now, and we have with us at Camoose RCMP Detachment Quarterly Update, Sergeant Murray McNeil. Sergeant, take it away.
Mayor, we're going to boring police business. I'd like to find some Pete here from Communities of Bloom. That we picked up our game at the detachment. I don't know if anyone's.
Oh, yeah.
But we got the lilies going, we have the roses going, we've got new mulch down. I'm getting the lines painted in the yard this week. The building all cleaned up. I think I need a new flag, but other than that, it's looking pretty 10 out of 10. So
yeah, Deb rubs off on everyone in the community, doesn't it? Yeah.
Flag's not sad, but I should probably replace it soon. So, anyway. We're work we're doing, so we've been trying to do our part too. Okay. Mayor and council report. So just go to the next page and we'll begin with the regular portion about the traffic stats. Everything's kind of kosher where it has been April, May, June of this year. We're just over 200 tickets and warnings for the quarter. And that's a little bit lower than what it had been, about 248 for the same time last year. But nothing out of the ordinary. With the 5 members working, we're still averaging around 14 interactions per member per month, which is just over our target of 10. So that's on target. Impaired, we still see an uptick in that. The members are out there enforcing impaired driving. We've had 25 in a quarter, which is really high. I see 15 in the month of May alone, which is significant. And that's even up from the higher numbers we see in 2024, where we had 16 and then 12 in 2023. Those numbers are pretty high compared to what they had been in previous years. So doing more enforcement in that area to try to keep the roads safe. Collisions, unfortunately, even though this is a report for April, May, and June, I should first mention that we did have another fatal collision just this past weekend. A motorcyclist killed on Highway 97A, and he was northbound on a motorcycle. It had been raining at the time. And he crossed the center line into the path of a southbound vehicle. He was the only victim in that crash. And unfortunately, he's the at-fault driver, but a 48-year-old man lost his life in that collision. And this one here that we're talking about in April, there was a couple that were leaving Malacqua Loop Road. They were just trying to make a left-hand turn back onto the 4-lane highway and continue on east, starting vacation, and they failed to yield to a westbound semi, and there was major impact there. And unfortunately, both of them were killed instantly in that collision, and that again was the driver error of the deceased. So there was dash cams in both collisions, the one I just mentioned with the motorcycle and this one as well. So it made it relatively easy for the investigators to determine what had happened there. We also had 6 different collisions, all of which were non-serious injuries to the occupants. All of them were driver error. Nothing weather related, obviously, in these summer months. Break and enters, we had an interesting one in May. Had a break and enter to the Malacqua supermarket. 2 masked suspects were on video and they were tearing the door off the building at about 3:30 in the morning. Helped themselves an extensive amount of liquor. There's a liquor license to sell in that business. And then through some investigations, we were able to determine who had taken that. And then we recovered 62 bottles of spirits from our residents in Malacqua, and the 2 residents are facing charges on that. Court date will be pending for both of them. Theft of vehicles had a couple of odd ones, not typical. 1993, very old truck, low value, reported stolen from Mayor Road, and it was recovered in Kelowna. Someone took that for unknown reasons for driving Kelowna. And then this one, we never had this before. A golf cart was taken from the Eagle River golf course, not recovered. So yeah. Annoying to the owners of that business. They hadn't been for years and years and never experienced that before, but someone helped himself to a golf. So these are the overall numbers. You can see break-in enters would still remain low. We had 2 in 2024 down to the 1 that I mentioned at the store in Malacca, and we had a 2 arrests made on that. Theft vehicle is also low. The 2 that I mentioned, the golf cart and the older truck. You can see the impaired driving 25, which is significantly up. And excessive speeding, I've done a couple of media releases on that. 40, that's really high compared to 8 the year before. So the highway patrol and our sick loose members found in the evenings that the speeds get quite elevated out there in Malacca. The traffic thins out and it's right around dusk that we're getting some supersonic speeds out there. So we've been dealing with that as well. And that's noted the uptick in that. You see the overall numbers, they're not about the same, 581 and 538 for the 2 different quarters. And that's in our call for service on the next screen, so a little bit up from what we had been experiencing. I can update that the 1 constable is no longer off duty. He's back to work. He came back to work last week, so that helps the detachment. That was from an injury, but he is back on and taking shifts. We have the other constable who's on paternity leave, and he'll be back the first week of September. And we have another constable who will be coming here from Williams Lake, and he'll also be starting in late August. So he's a 3-year member, very highly reported on. So happy to have him come, and he's got a young family, so he'll be starting with us in August. It'll be good as well. And then criminal code charge approvals. I know I've talked before about this case. It was a big case for Sycamoose. It happened on April 6th, so I'll mention it now because this is in that report. But the 2 men, Tofik and Dole Bold of Edmonton, Alberta, we arrested them with the assistance of the Salmon Arm RCMP related to the shooting that happened at the condo down in Mara Lake Lane. And they were both charged with offenses, discharging the firearm with intent, and careless use of a firearm. They were in custody for a couple of months, and then both men were released by the courts in June. They're currently residing in Alberta with the court dates pending. Then we had another interesting one in June. In the afternoon, one of our officers was doing patrol at the 7-Eleven, and he got rear-ended intentionally. They rear-ended into the front of his car intentionally. Tried to disable the police car. That didn't work for them. We continued following them south on 97A, and with the assistance of many units, some from Enderby, some from Salmon Arm, had a dog there as well. The 2 occupants of that vehicle were brought into custody and charged with a slew of offenses. Eric Lemke of Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. He was charged with assaulting the police officer, flight from police, and dangerous operation of motor vehicle. And he was held in custody for some time, and then he was released by the courts. And I can tell you that he was arrested again in Kelowna for being in another vehicle doing similar things this past weekend. So I don't know if I about that. Didn't quite learn his lesson, I don't think. That's my report. Things are looking up for the office. As I mentioned, with those 2 members coming in, we'll be much closer up to speed with manpower. Things have been busy. The summer's been great weather-wise. I don't think anyone's going to complain about the weather we've received. It's been excellent. So we've been working long hours with the people we have, but everything's been going well. So no complaints on that. I can take questions. Anyone has questions?
Thank you, Murray. Councillor Bushel.
To the chair, thank you. Murray, I just wanted to check and see how your ORV program's coming. How many ORVs do we have licensed in the community now?
Well, Mitch is selling lots of them, so.
Go Mitch.
I'd say I'm up over 30, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's really good. Have you had any concerns, any wild things happening?
We had a guy, but he didn't even have a permit, so we had to deal with him. He stopped us. We have not had issues where people are not stopping for the police yet, or that we're seeing them driving at night or anything like that. So I think the program's been working well.
Great. Have you ever thought about expanding it to, you got side-by-sides now, but ever thought about?
No, I haven't. We're still one of the only communities, Mitch knows, that is doing this, where we're giving the permits so people don't have to trailer their machines. It's much more convenient for them. They can have them at their house and then just get on their machine and drive to Al Hunter Queens, and I think it's working well. But No, I haven't had any plans to move it to site or ATVs. I had people come in and ask if they could do that for ATVs, but no, it's still at the discretion of the detachment. And I think I've gone further than many communities, like in Salmon Arm, you can't do this, or other communities, so.
Okay, well, if you decide you want a pilot project or something. Thanks, Murray, appreciate it.
Anyone else? Murray, thank you for all you do, and I just want to reach out again to you and your members. I think you guys do an amazing job in our community, and I want to make sure that your team knows that as well. It's super sad that we live in a catch and release system and that we have a legal system now instead of a justice system, which is, and this council is quite aware of that. So we are moving forward with a resolution going to UBCM regarding that, and we'll continue to advocate for a better justice system and any support that you need as well.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you for the lunch.
You're very welcome, Councilor Bailey.
Yeah, I want to thank you because, I own the Narrows Restaurant and we had an incident last week and I want to commend your staff, and I just want people to know how quickly you guys arrive when there's instances in town. And, I certainly appreciate it as a business owner. I appreciate it as a counselor, and I've seen firsthand the level of service that you provide. And I just want to echo what Colleen just said, that thanks for all you do. And, I have a business that has interaction with some, interesting characters sometimes. And then I know other businesses do in town as well. And I often hear just good things about the level of service and care and attention that you put into those types of calls and other calls through the community. So thanks. Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Murray. Keep up the good work. Okay, moving along. We got Mayors for Peace, Donna Henningsen. Thanks for being here, Donna.
Thank you very much for having me. Greetings from Summerland. I am a longtime resident of Summerland and a former full-time reporter with the Penticton Herald, Summerland Review. This very rational reporter background doesn't ordinarily get involved in these kind of things, but this issue captured my imagination. And I found it a very strange situation that I just had to get behind. And I'll tell you a bit about it. So Sicamous is a member of Mayors for Peace. Did you know that?
Mhm.
Oh, you did know that? Okay.
Absolutely, I know that.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm the one who was surprised. There are actually 11 communities around the South Okanagan, Similkameen, who are Mayors for Peace. My own mayor, I don't think knew. Definitely, Penticton mayor did not know. So these were decisions made 10, 15 years ago that seem to, with some communities, have fallen off the radar. So for the longest time, there was no membership fee. There is now, as of 2015. It is a whopping 2,000 yen a year.
Why, yeah.
$20 Canadian. What I'm telling the various communities I'm going to, the 11 communities, is this: what better time than 2025 to recommit and spark renewed community involvement in such a worthy cause? While nation leaders struggle to negotiate and dodge violence and war, communities from the ground up through organizations such as Mayors for Peace are networking through city-to-city connection around nuclear disarmament. Youth peace education and leadership, webinars, internships, exchanges, conferences around culture, art, sports, collecting and sharing great examples of peace in action. Also learning more about the Japanese atomic experience, think 2024, Nobel Peace winners Nihon Hidenkyo, the atomic bomb survivors who 80 years later continue to promote a better way forward. Mayors for Peace gatherings share diverse global ideas for sustainable, secure communities. New ideas, to us at least, sometimes, from around the world. How to keep interest in Mayors for Peace alive here. for the long term. What is Mayors for Peace exactly? Slide. So there's some of the faces, slide. This woman is the North American coordinator, has been for a long time, an American. The lead city in Canada is Montreal, whose focus on the introductory website is very much secure homes for everyone. She doesn't even mention peace. So different communities take a different slant on this organization. Slide. The youth activities, slide. What that often involves is the atomic bomb witness talks, webinars, internships, as I mentioned, exchanges, conferences, slide. So of course, we're going back to 1945, 2010, 1,000 deaths, 2 atomic bomb blasts that we have not seen since. Slide. Slide. So what the goal is for Mayors for Peace is 10,000 members. Currently, they have just under 9,000 in 166 countries and regions, some of which you would not expect. Canada, 113 members. BC Interior, 11. Slide. These are the representative areas around the world that have members in Mayors for Peace, including Iran. What is Mayors for Peace exactly? It started in June 24, 1982 with mayors from the Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You know about August 6th coming up being Hiroshima Day. As I mentioned, the vision is nuclear disarmament, safety and security, resilient cities, and third, promoting a culture of peace. This is all very topical right now. This past month, the U.S. Conference of Mayors adopted a resolution urging membership in Mayors for Peace. The Mayors for Peace website includes a July 2025 joint appeal message from the mayors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and a map of the top 10 member countries. I welcome your thoughts to make Mayors for Peace a vital part of your community and this region, especially with the UPCM coming up at this challenging time in the world. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Donna. Council, any comments, questions? Go ahead, Councillor Evans.
Nice to meet you, Donna. Through the chair, I'd like to just ask you folks, do you meet on Zoom monthly or how does it work for like ongoing efforts?
Okay, I am not, part of that organization.
Okay.
I'm an interested resident of Summerland. I'm going to be going to Summerland Council on the 29th.
Okay.
I'm doing the rounds of the 11 communities. This would be something that you would need to talk to Mayors for Peace about. It's very much, obviously, it's an international organization. Their website lists upcoming webinars, interconnecting groups. I think the most important thing that I'm interested in right now is that they are now asking for membership fees, the $20 a year. I don't know how many of the communities who are technically on record as being members are paying that. So I'm encouraging the communities to do that. And by doing so, renew that commitment to, okay, what can we be doing with this organization and doing regionally and doing nationally?
Bob, I can probably shed some light on that. They do a monthly newsletter and they do have, we used to all get the newsletter and in the last couple of years, I still do. Do you still get it? Yeah. So, I mean, we do read the newsletter. There's never usually any action items that we need to take. We're quite familiar with it. We understand the concept. And I think that it would be great for your organization to go to the other communities and promote this as opposed to the communities that are already involved. And yeah, I don't know if, Bianca, do we still pay our membership every year? Or, oh, not on the radar.
I don't think we've ever.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, so we became a member of Mayors for Peace back in 2006, and we did some digging to see what that membership fee looks like. And I think that there might be some kind of clause in place where we've been grandfathered into the situation where we're not charged a membership fee. So that's not an invoice that we've received yet. But moving forward, having heard this delegation, we'll know to keep an eye out for it. And that's the update that I have on as far as paying fees goes.
Thank you. What I'll be encouraging the various communities is we're in fairly wealthy countries that could be helping to support this organization financially, whereas other member countries may not have quite that ability.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Appreciate that. All right, Home Zero collective requests for letter of support. Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson and members of council. I'm Pete Singh from Home Zero Collective. We are based in Vernon, BC, and today I have a presentation for you regarding a pilot project that was completed in Vernon to improve the energy efficiency and reducing emissions from our building stock. So a little background on us. Home Zero was in Vernon, BC, and it was as a result of the city's climate action plan. And the goal being, how can we make our building stock more energy efficient and reduce the emissions to improve and meet our climate action goals? We have a diverse team to support our project. It includes members from formerly from BC Hydro, Clean BC, Cities, Falcon College, Falcon Engineering, and Okanagan Solar. So a broad group of people supporting this project. Just a little bit of background on our funding. We started this in Vernon with the help of the City of Vernon and FCM. So far, we have received around $850,000 in funding from the Green Municipal Fund and $263 from BC Hydro. And we are working with the Community Efficiency Financing funding stream that helps to improve the building stock, the energy efficiency of the building stock in municipalities. So we have completed a feasibility study, a pilot project and program design, and we're going towards a capital project. And that's what I'm here to tell you about today. So in Vernon, when we started, we did a feasibility study and looked at all the neighborhoods with the help of Canada's census data. And most of the homes, so greater than 70%, require just minor building envelope upgrades and or no building envelope upgrades. And only about 5% were recorded as needing major repairs that need to be done. What that tells us from a building stock perspective is that the homes are generally in reasonable condition for energy upgrades that are not so extensive that need a lot of time. So a large portion of the homes in Vernon, and I would assume in other regions, are in similar conditions. So there's a new process we can introduce to improve the energy efficiency of these homes. So in terms of our project, the major challenges we're looking to address are if we want to improve the energy efficiency of homes, the cost is quite high and there isn't enough of a large enough workforce for the homeowner is quite complex. And how do we make this model replicatable so that many communities can take advantage of it? Slide, please. So we completed a pilot project last year where we retrofitted 11 homes, and the goal was to assess the technical and financial viability of retrofitting homes, meaning can we make this affordable and does it work well? And that is informing a community scale program that we are now going towards. Okay, as I mentioned, retrofits can be quite expensive. So here is a retrofit package that reduces energy consumption by about 50% and emissions by 85 to 100%. And it includes an air source heat pump, a heat pump hot water system, a level 2 EV charging outlet and solar panels. And the cost in the pilot for each home was around $55,000. And next slide, please. To address the cost issue, we propose to FCM and the municipality that instead of taking a piecemeal approach to every home, let's look at retrofitting homes on a whole house basis. And instead of thinking about it one home at a time, let's think about it on a community scale so we can bring down the costs through volume procurement and streamlined operations that all community members can make their homes more energy efficient. So that's the whole house approach that we are recommending and retrofitting with. This approach takes into consideration all the electrical systems in a home so that we can account for the entire load and we're able to avoid the service upgrades. It reduces the impact on BC Hydro's grid and also reduces the cost for a home. Okay, so as I mentioned, the goal of this is to improve the energy efficiency of homes so that homeowners save money on a monthly basis and also to reduce emissions so that we can go towards our climate targets. And the way we present this to homeowners is that, if we ask them what is their current heating and electricity cost, and here's an example. So let's say if it's $280 a month, and we retrofit the home with renewable energy systems that generate power and eliminate emissions, we can bring down the cost of utilities to, let's say, $50 a month. And now you have savings of around $230 that can be put towards financing the retrofit. And so originally I showed you the example of $55,000, and that is a large number. And to bring this cost to make it more affordable, there are various rebates that are available from the provincial government, and Home Zero also applies additional rebate to bring down the cost. So in this example, around 21,000. This is in green because these rebates can change, but this is an illustrative example. So after the rebates, let's say the cost comes down to 34,000. Now we amortize that over a 15-year period, and you're getting into a realm where the loan payment is similar to what the homeowner was originally paying for the utility tax. So with this financial model, we're able to make retrofit very cost effective for a homeowner. You can see this started with around $280, and after the retrofit comes to about $50, the finance payment, and now you're at $324. This slide just summarizes the overall value proposition. The first one being that utility costs keep going up, but if you do a retrofit, your costs are more steady because you're making a loan payment instead of making utility payments. Secondly, homeowners have new equipment, so they don't have to worry about breakdown of their furnace. And finally, once the loan is paid off, the homeowner has significant savings on an annual basis. So in this example, around $4,000 a year. And even factoring in, one replacement of an equipment in a 25-year period, for example, a heat pump or a hot water tank, even then the homeowner comes out quite a bit ahead in cost savings. So how does this process work? For the homeowner, we review their 2 years of billing, we propose retrofits, look at all the various financial incentives and products that are available. We propose a financial outlook, a post retrofit financial outlook, meaning after the retrofit, what do we expect your financial bills to be? This makes it easy for a homeowner to make a financial decision about the retrofit. And the entire process is coordinated beginning to end, so the homeowner gets a turnkey experience. That little image there is energy monitoring system that's installed. And this confirms to the homeowner that the projections are actually what we're expecting them to be. Slide, please. Here are the 11 homes that were retrofitted in Vernon. They range from 1918 to 2012. All of these homes have improved their energy performance by about 50% and reduced emissions 85 to 100%. They all have solar panels, heat pump hot water systems, EV charging outlets, and minor building envelope upgrades were also included, such as attic or air sealing, attic insulation or air sealing. Next slide, please. This slide is actually not that visible, but at the bottom, you can see two numbers, bottom right. 45% is the average energy consumption reduction as measured by the EnerGuide assessment, and 88% reduction in emissions. Okay, and so the homeowners did have a really great experience with the retrofit. They really liked the whole house approach, they reduced the complexity and offered a clear financial outlook as to what your costs will be after the retrofit. Next slide, please. The program involved extensive community engagement so that homeowners become aware of how the project runs. And in the neighborhoods that we did the retrofits, we held open houses, invited homeowners to come and look at the retrofit work that's been done, look at the energy bills, talk to people who were involved so that they can choose to participate in the program as well. Okay, nearing completion. Our next phase is to retrofit 500 homes, Vernon and beyond. It says 500 plus because the program that we are developing is self-sustaining. We are asking FCM for a $5 million grant. And this is part of the community efficiency financing program, which also comes with a $2 million loan loss reserve. This loan loss reserve is in place so that financial institutions can lend money to homeowners, knowing that if there's a default, it will be covered by the loan loss reserve. And our final slide here is that Home Zero is planning to take a regional approach to this program, representing to municipalities and FCM members across the region to inform them of the initiative. And as I mentioned, we start small, let's say a few homes in a neighborhood as an initial step, and then we invite people to come and visit these homes, and then we grow the program neighborhood by neighborhood. So in the case of municipalities, we would retrofit homes in different municipalities and start the community engagement from there. So this program would benefit the residents of this district because it would result in cost reductions, energy bills, and improve the building performance, as well as reduce emissions so that we can go towards meeting our climate action targets in a cost conscious and financially affordable manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, questions? Councilor Bailey.
Not to nitpick, but no, we weren't even on app. Sycamoose wasn't on your map.
Oh, sorry, I think this is just a resolution of the Google Maps, but it is a initiative in the sense that it will start in Vernon, but we will expand to the neighboring municipalities. BC Hydro is a key supporter of this project, and they definitely want us to have a very broad scope for this because they have very strong mandates, as you might know, to improve the energy efficiency of buildings across the province. So I apologize for that little error there, but definitely the plan is to include this area as well.
Councillor Bailey, go ahead.
Yeah, so are you a nonprofit, for-profit corporation? What's the?
Yes, that's a great question. So Home Zero was started as a nonprofit 4 years ago. And we've been working with FCM as a nonprofit. And what we have run into is a limitation in terms of FCM funding is only up to $5 million. And this is a very large scale undertaking, which will require private investment. So as of about 2 months ago, Home Zero also has a for-profit entity, which is going to be working moving forward so that we can attract private investment to this initiative. Private entities are allowed to apply for this funding, and it is going to go through a very competitive process with organizations across Canada that are applying for this funding.
Okay, well, I wish you well on your business.
Good luck. Anyone else?
Through the chair.
Hey, Councillor Bishop.
Have you got anybody in the, like in our area that is interested in the program or any builders, home builders?
So this program, it would be more appealing to contractors who are in the HVAC or solar business, right? So we will be working with partners across the region to bring this. In the beginning, it will start in Vernon. As we expand out, we'll be doing outreach to contractors and HVAC and solar contractors.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Beach.
Yeah, I just, through the chair, I just wanted to say, I think it's a fantastic project to be working in, and you're just dealing with residential homes at this point. Are you aware of a similar push for business, for businesses and facilities and that kind of municipal infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and we are taking a broad approach to this. When we look at the entire building stock, you'll see that most of the buildings are residential. And so we're using that as a launch point to build scale, and scale helps us to bring down costs. When we have lower costs, then we can apply them towards more complex buildings, making the retrofit affordable for municipal or commercial buildings.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson.
Okay, thank you. Okay, department update, Sycamoose fire rescue update. Chief Lorenzo. Thanks for being here.
I agree. Great.
One more push. There it is, and there it is. In service 24/7, 365. Hi, everyone. Thank you. And today we're gonna discuss the fire department agenda. Next slide. So as always, I in any presentation with reference to our values and of course our priorities, which is community safety. It always leaves me with a good benchmark of where we're at, where we need to be. Next slide, please. So, next slide, please. Thank you. Presented in April 2024 was Sycamoose Fire Rescue Strategic Plan, which is in development, ongoing, continuous plan, and it incorporates 8 points that, next slide, please. That outline exactly what we need to do, where we need to be, and our future. Something that we've discussed before, but always I use it as a reference because it ties into the Firewise report, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more in detail about what that looked like as far as a benchmark. Next slide, please. So just about a decade ago, that was a service review by Firewise, and the executive summary included an evaluation of the then volunteer fire department, basically for compliance, provincial standards, legislation, and best practices. So the key findings at that time was we were in good standing and capable department with strong leadership. And however, but there were some gaps. Next slide, thank you. So of the sections here, this is the completion checklist of the 41. And on the next slide, we'll get into a little bit more detail. I wanted to mention that Firewise, I'm familiar with them from twice in Vancouver and in Richmond. They do all departments, so it's a trusted reference for me. I'm very familiar how they operate, and it was a good read to see where the department was in 2016. But most important to note, the progress on addressing the outstanding items outlined in Firewise study is in no way reflects a lack of effort or progress from previous fire service leadership. Instead, it works on builds upon their contributions and represents an updated current benchmark for progress and ongoing initiatives. So what that looks like is out of the 41 recommendations, 16 were completed, which is a completion rate of 39%. So just to be a little bit tongue in cheek here, for those of you that have kids in school now or have an understanding of the grade system, if it was a student, it would be the students beginning to demonstrate limited understanding of the learning standards that require significant support, or for those of us a little bit older, it's grade math. But it's not all bad news. That was that benchmark at that time. So from the total 41 total recommendations, 16 were completed and 3 in the 9 years. However, the good news is 13 of those items were completed under our new leadership. So 82% of progress. So that's good. And it's something that is improving every day. Which ties into our measurables for 2024 and 2025. So mentioned in previous meetings and agendas, our new system of tracking and metrics is through 2 separate apps. So we are now with I Am Responding for to help supplement our dispatch, and for fire data entry, we have an Ember program. So it might be a little bit small to see, but this is an incredible system that really gives us real-time metrics on calls, how long we're at calls, the equipment we've used, maintenance, everything that ties into what that Firewise is suggesting and recommendations. Along with I Am Responding, now we're able to track maintenance a lot quicker, much more proficient, and maintenance and repairs are able to be tracked throughout everyone in the department, including the officers. So our maintenance is up to date, and a big reason why is because of this tracking system. Which leads us into our next slide. So for Q1, from January to March, we had a total calls of 19 and roughly 23.75 hours of on-call. So that's about average, I would say, close to just above. Next slide. 2. A little bit more, 26 calls, 36.75 hours. And again, this is just calls. And for both Q1 and Q2, we had a total of 48 calls and 60.25 hours. Which interestingly, in the 24 hours, we hit 43 calls. So between January and June, pretty much close to the call volume in a 24-hour period, but that is by far normal. Next slide, please. Programs and services. So as part of the ongoing Sick News Fire Rescue Strategic Plan, future services, introduction to improve operational efficiency and safety. And with that, we included the apps and the improvements on tracking systems and especially training. But the big one is something that I shared on my first meeting with everyone here, and that's the HRVA. So the good news is with the hazard risk vulnerability analysis is that I've had lengthy discussions with the CSRD, with the Shuswap emergency program, and anyone else that is going to be able to assist us to hopefully come up with an HRVA that is specifically for Sicamous. Though the plans that I've seen are very broad. It basically has Sicamous labeled on the map, and that's it. And that's not good enough because we have, as we've discussed, so many possible emergencies that could be multi-layered with rail, with the Brun Bridge and wildfire and the road. So we are working on that to be more customized. Now, I'm excited to share with you the improvement on fire prevention, emergency response programs and services, especially with fire prevention. So, next slide. There we go. With fire prevention, this is a very strong discipline, specialty, whatever you want to call it, that ties in with public education, where it's in the name, it prevents fires. We empower the public, people to have a better understanding on all things fire prevention, including smoke detectors, fire safety plans for the home, and much, much more. I've seen it in my career that this is a huge benefit to preventing large-scale fires because people are now empowered and they are aware. So it's something that we continue to build on. However, you'll see in upcoming slides that we have had huge engagement, but we just don't have enough time or staffing. So as we continue on, the leadership program and services, the command structure, this has been a huge step forward for coverage of the community when I'm away on a course or on vacation, that we have helped build this for coverage of who is going to be responding as the acting fire chief or assistant fire chief in any big scale event or for everyday operations. The integration of services on the next slide. So we have enhanced and coordinated with neighboring fire departments, law enforcement, RCMP, and other members, other agencies, to have a better understanding of what that actually looks like. So we are now in the understanding that we're going to have quarterly meetings with the other agencies, have a better understanding of each other's needs and wants, and a better reporting structure back and forth to the agencies themselves. Now, I'm happy to share with you, as part of that overall strategic plan, that the succession planning is complete. So we have a really clear understanding from our newest probationary recruit to our senior officers what that looks like in their career as a paid on-call firefighter. Where do they land and what can they do to advance their careers? So that has been complete with us following the NFPA standards. And it has been a big step forward because people now have a clear understanding of what it looks like and their responsibilities as they move up. Next slide, please. Which brings us to understanding what that leadership development for possible future fire chief is going to look like. They'll have an understanding of the culture as it is, the standards, and you know, one day little Lloyd there could be fire chief one day. Who knows? So we're doing a great job of integrating what that looks like culturally within our firefighters. And also, there's been a discussion of bringing the juvenile firefighter program back with some members. I see a lot of value in that, and we'll be discussing that further on. Next slide, please. So, brings us into the fire academy. And it ties heavily into those standards and why that succession planning was so important. So, our aim was to have our new recruits from applicant to certified 1001 firefighter within 6, 7, 8 months, but that was a little ambitious because, well, things happen and there's only so much time throughout the year. So it may be extended, but they will be fully certified, which means they're now moving on to driver training and beginning their officer training also. So we're on a set schedule that will help with that succession planning and the understanding of those standards for those future leaders. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about, on the next slide, NFPA 1720. So the standard for our organization and the deployment of fire suppression operations, emergency medical operations, and so on and so forth. Right now, we all know at the peak of summer that our population is probably 3 times what it says there under the classification. And well, we're not going to aim for that because that's not a constant. But between 25 and 3,000, I think we can all agree that hits home for our population. So we are categorized under rural. And next slide, please. So what that looks like under the requirement is a response time of 14 minutes or less, 80% of the time, and a minimum staffing of 6 firefighters within that time. Now, on a weekend or at night, we more than likely will hit that. During the day, not so much. That's the gap that we're trying to figure out and trying to fill. Now, under that model, and that is recommended for the POC model, the paid on call model, to meet the 6-person requirement consistently, we need to account for availability fluctuations, as I mentioned, training coverage, mutual aid limitations, wildland, EMS, road rescue expansion, if that happens. So right now, the district would typically require 20 to 30 firefighters that's trained, plus 2 to 3 full-time personnel for coverage, planning, inspections, training, and continuity. Now that is the model, and that is what we're talking about here. Now, additional considerations is any sort of expansions on call volume, such as EMA or integration of road rescue. Also, a big thing that we are discovering more and more, and people are coming to me, is number 3, fatigue and wellness. Fatigue is a big factor right now. We discussed it yesterday at our debrief. People have come to me personally and asked that they feel conflicted about taking time off, but I encourage everybody to do it. So I don't have the numbers really to cover that, but it's something that we have to consider. So obviously our geography, we're a larger area, and of course you have the wildfire risk zone according to NFPA 1140. So the standard 2025 planning and moving forward, the recommendation is a full-time fire chief, 1 to 2 full-time firefighters / officers, and 25 to 30 paid on-call firefighters. Now the officers, that's included in the above. We require 4 to 6 plus some acting members. So we're quite far off. Now, I wanted to get back to a little bit about pub ed, which lies in our strategic plan on the next slide. So education through SFR and the public services that we provide. Thank you. So we did our first fire chief for a day. It was a great reception where student Avery Sanchez, 9, she got an immediate promotion when she showed up. She was an absolute pistol. She was in charge. We gave her our radio. We had the firefighters line up. On the next slide, please. And it was a great opportunity to have a discussion with parents and friends on fire and fire life safety while giving somebody, a young person, an opportunity to a day in the life of a fire chief and a firefighter. Next slide, please. So, which brings me into public education and the fire hall visits. So between 2024 and 2025, we saw a significant increase, 90% increase in public education and fire hall visits. And that even included unscheduled visits where people would come in, knock on the door and have some questions. And we would take that opportunity to show them apparatus or give them a better understanding of the services that we provide. So we want to build on that on the next slide. These visits include helping children and families on fire prevention methods like home fire safety planning for children, pets, and parents. And part of the Fire Chief for a Day campaign or challenge was that they had to submit a fire safety plan for their home. And the best one, actually 2 entries. So we really were able to tie that in together, and it was received quite well. Now, on the next slide, Sycamoose wildfire preparedness and wildfire training. Now, we didn't get a chance this year to begin any sort of specialty training for wildfire recipients. It's something that we will be looking at and building on more as we have made some connections, and there is free training available. So I want to look at that first before we do anything. But having said that, we attended the Wildfire Resiliency Training Summit in Penticton. And there was a lot there that we were able to take back. And on the next slide, a lot of education and mitigation for fire smart and prevention methods. And an interesting one was the prescribed burns, which a lot of cultures have been practicing all over the world. And through BC Wildfire Services, it's something that we may look at in the future. Obviously on the off season, there are obviously slash control burns, but this might be something that may benefit us in the future. So on the next slide, we members attended and did receive at that same summit certification for engine boss. So that serves the entire province and definitely provides a service to the district. Now, on the next slide, I've had a lot of discussions with and inquiries about our calls, our call volume, the what, why, and when through 2024 to 2025. So the obvious one on the next slide is fire. It's that visceral one that everybody knows, sees, smells, and they know that that's a real danger. Obviously, that is one of our primary service measures, but what does it actually look like on the next slide? So a confirmed structure fire or a single family dwelling, it's, if we look at a scenario or a model of 1,200 square foot to 2,500 square foot, and based on the standards, we need actually 4 apparatus, so 4 fire trucks, 2 engines, a tender, and a command vehicle. That is a single, that is from the last picture that you saw, that is one response. So now we are officially tapped out. Now we don't have many or anyone in secondary, which means if there is another fire or another emergency, now we have to base and look at prioritizing. Do we actually leave a live fire? We're not. But what's the other scenario? And how are we calling mutual aid? So a lot of things that we have to consider. And on the next slide, what that actually looks like at a single family dwelling fire is you have the incident commander, safety officer, For initial attack, we have 2, backup 2, pump operator. It goes all the way down to requiring about, with command level officers, about 15 people, including 2 incident command officers. So right now, we have 22 confirmed members. People are traveling. That means we're definitely going to be tapped out. On the next slide, gives you an understanding of the equipment and the operational notes. So depending on what we're doing, if it's just a safe defensive attack, we may be able to use less people. But if there are people entrapped or it's a rescue, we're going to need more additional resources. So there's a lot of risk that has to weigh out. Not every call is the same as the last call. And it takes a really good officer to be able to size it up, which I'll get into in a second. So what does it look like for these other type of calls on the next slide? So wildfire, believe it or not, we need about the same, about 15, maybe more. Next slide, MVIs, believe it or not, we need about the same. There's a lot to manage. On the next slide, rescue, maybe even more. This is where safety is such a huge consideration because we're doubling up on it. We're tying ourselves off to go at the edge of a slope, mountain, or elevation. Marine calls on the next slide. Not as many, but that depends on what it is. Is it a vessel? Is it a vessel on fire? Is it someone in need of medical emergency plus a spill? For hazmat, we will need double. Hazmat, depending on what has spilled, what has happened, we will need double the amount of personnel. Rail and the run bridge, I'll tie that in together, about the same as hazmat. By the time we get the information on what has spilled or what has happened, it's quite a lag of time. And the more people we have to help with spreading that information, the closer we'll get to resolving that event. Environmental will need about the same, between 11 and 15. And for assists, on the next slide, it all depends. How many patients and what's the scenario? But we average about 5 to 6 on that call. So on the next slide, the SFR, what, why, and when, that big question. And on the next slide, we're going to go back to the response for spills and MVI on district highways and roads. So it's important to note that we don't know until we know what we're dealing with spill-wise, with volatile combustible fluids, possible highly flammable explosives in the back of a truck. It's all about mitigating our response for public safety. There's also, on the next slide, the understanding that it poses a significant public safety and environmental hazard. Now, especially with motorcycle season, if diesel isn't cleaned up, it's one of the most slippery, more sliding volatile products. That poses a real danger. So that is something that we mitigate with the help of RCMP, MOTI, and other agencies. Now, the fluid mitigation also, we have to consider if it's a propane vehicle. If that propane vehicle ends up in a ditch somewhere, that low-lying gas will sit there, and if it's not looked at, not mitigated, for days until it gets a ignition source, because it's a lot heavier than air, and this has happened. So we need to go. We need to formulate a plan, and then we need to. Plus, we all know the possibility of wildfire risk from an MVI with a spark or ignition source or fuel. On the next slide, please. And then the other big consideration is access and egress routes that are at risk. If they're not mitigated or assisted, BC ambulance, EVR, definitely RCMP, may be slightly delayed. So we want to participate in mitigating that on the next slide before they escalate into fire You know, and we will deploy absorbance, foam suppression if required, and then we will coordinate with RCMP and MOTI. All in all, it's all about to support public safety. And on the next slide, thank you. What does that really look like? So we understand what fire looks like when an officer is going to size it up. They will go, and the model is that they will do a size up. And it's a rapid assessment. They'll do what's called a 360. They'll walk around the entire building and confirm to dispatch what they see and what they will need. This response model is designed to be proactive and effect quick mitigation for public safety and or resource management. So we apply this model to everything. We apply it to the spill. We apply it to storms. We apply it to rescue. So when you see us going 2 or 3 trucks, that's what we're doing. And if we don't need that second truck, we will pull them back and have them on secondary while our first truck is at the event. So I just wanted to make that clear because it was a big question that's constantly posed. Now, looking ahead on the next slide, please. We continue to expand our training program that aligns with our strategic plan, the specialized training that we continue to do. And we will be offering more opportunities for community involvement. If you're all available next week, we have the Public Fire Fit Challenge. And are you coming, Mayor? Okay.
Not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm thinking about it.
It's a great way to interact and see how we prepare and how we stay in shape for the jobs that we do. It's a lot of fun. And obviously building partnerships with other fire departments and organizations, that's a key thing for us. So that concludes my presentation. I just wanted to thank you all again for your attention, and we will continue to work towards the strategic plan for the greater good. It's a living document. It's not something that's going to end anytime soon because new challenges will come and we'll have to add and look to that. But we look forward to it. We're very optimistic about the future of the fire department. We have an incredible amount of passion and dedication from our crew. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Council, do you have any questions? Councillor Evans.
Thank you through the chair. Not a question, but especially with last week with the big storm, I want to thank you guys for all your hard work. It's great to see how fast you got to help people out in some real jams. So thank you.
Council, anyone else? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you again for all your dedication and hard work for your whole team and, all the incidents that we've had this summer, and even Murray in the back there, he's, called out a number of times on accidents, and you guys are put in the line of fire there, and we really appreciate it. And all Brett's service over the past few years, Brett's in the back there. Thank you for all your service, Brett, and you guys are a great asset to the community. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm just going to echo that as well. And nice to see Brett back in the room here as well. And I know that he's supporting you guys and your team. And thank you guys for all that you do. And yes, this past week was truly a test of how fast we can get a community cleaned up and everything looked after. We are a growing community, and understanding that is key, and you are moving that forward, and you were looking at us like, what is the community going to need moving forward? So I do appreciate that as we are growing and continue to grow. So thank you for being visionary.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I think a lot of it is a lot of budgetary discussions coming up, I see. And I think that's something council will have to really look at, is where we're going to get resources to do that. We're growing, not quite there yet in terms of the tax base. So that'll be an important discussion, but I appreciate you highlighting all of that. I just wonder if you can answer one question. You have on there that you would like 2 full-time firefighters. And then obviously the paid on call. How do you see that fitting into what you're current funding is?
Well, the biggest thing will be having a position dedicated to fire prevention. And I see Fire Smart as 100% fire prevention. So with Fire Smart and using that model, but for the community, that will be a huge value because it's a full-time job on its own. Inspections, enforcement, having a good understanding of the construction that's going around right now. We are taxed. We can't get everywhere that we want to. So I would see that position as prevention pub ed firefighter. And the other position would be training and apparatus maintenance. So that's how I vision it. That's how the majority of departments from paid on call to career have operated is that, like myself, we wear more than one hat. But as we grow, those are the things that we have to look at because they require a dedicated amount of time according to the standards and for the progression of the district and the fire department.
Have you had a chance to look at any other, excuse me, any other comparable communities, how we're kind of stacking up on our funding versus similar communities of 2,500 sizes and kind of where they're at?
I mean, I would say it's not a clear understanding 100%, but a concise parallel. Yeah, we've looked at them, but you'd be amazed that something like Salmon Arm or Enderby, they are quite different. Salmon Arm's obviously a lot bigger, but Enderby, believe it or not, may not have the same amount of dangers that we do. So what does that mean? It means we may require specialized training or officers or positions that other areas may not. They may not need it. Though the amount of growth that I'm seeing, that's what I'm envisioning is again, I go back to a prevention officer that would be responding and that would have public education and other responsibilities. Because if we get to a point where we have permits and buildings and things are going up a lot quicker, we want to make sure that we're aligned with the code and with building and fire code that is required of us. So we're not like Enderby, we're not like Salmon Arm, we're not like Malacqua. So there are some comparables, but they're not down the line. Yeah, unfortunately. It'd be a little easier.
Budget time will be interesting this year. Thanks.
Thanks, Lorenzo. Oh, Councillor Evans.
Just questions. Thank you. When is this challenge next week?
August 5th.
August 5.
Oh, I am booked there.
Oh. That won the first place.
I'm booked that day. I just remember the fifth.
Well, it's something that we continue to do and we have new recruits that they will be required to do that challenge probably in the fall. So
What time?
we will be going at 7
PM?
AM?
7 p.m.
Oh,
Okay, thank you very much, Lorenzo, and thank you for your collaboration with all the other teams, like Murray's team and Road Rescue and everyone that you're working with. And thank you guys so much for being here and all that you do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're gonna move forward here. We've got a Sycamore Health Center update. Bianca.
Skipped one.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have to go.
Nicole, I am so sorry. We have a Development Services quarterly update. Take it away, Nicole.
Thank you through the chair. Okay, just a few quick updates today. And first up is our building quarterly report. So it covers April through June 2025 and compares it to the same time last year. For those that don't know, we also post our monthly building reports online if you're interested. So this quarter, yeah, I mean, we're just over 21 million and last year we were shy of 4 million. So we've had a big boom this quarter. It is construction season and that's great for us. And that's almost 23 million for the year. If we scroll down, thank you, We've just had a significant number of higher construction value projects, which has been amazing for Sycamoose. 425 Main Street at 13 million. New commercial buildings at 1,002 seed frontage, so that was issued this quarter as well, it's sitting at 1.7 million. And then we had 2 buildings at 222 Temple at 1.6 million combined. In our next quarter, we'll have some more of those buildings for 222 potentially issued as well. So that's just a brief overview of the building quarterly report.
Wow. Thanks, Nicole. Any questions for Nicole? Any comments? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, no, that's good news, Nicole. Thank you very much for that update. It's really good to see the residential empty lots starting to fill in on the hillsides and in the town. And also we're starting to see a little bit of uptake in commercial. So it's really good. So keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Thanks for the report. Yeah, that's great. You know, it's we're definitely moving forward in our community. So it's good to see, good to hear. Thank you. Okay, so now we're.
She's got a couple more.
2 more. I don't have those. Sorry, Nicole.
That's okay. So next up, the bylaw quarterly report. So it's attached to the agenda. And it also lists files from April through June 2025. As a reminder, this year, we're just tracking all complaints that are coming into the bylaw department from the public, and then we're determining if there's a bylaw infraction that's actually occurred, and then dealing with that appropriately. Files that are closed this quarter include paid tickets, talking with complainants, property owners, and a good handful of files that are still open are primarily unpaid parking tickets. Once they're paid, the file's closed. If you scroll down a bit to our list of files for April through June, we're still pretty heavy on traffic enforcement, especially into June when we're much more busier in town. We have a lot of business licensing follow-up reflected here as well. The deadline to pay 2025 business licenses was March 31st, so the end of last quarter. And so the bylaw officer, finance, myself, work to ensure everyone who is operating a business has a valid license. And then the other we're seeing more of, and that's pretty typical of last year as well, is just good neighbor follow-up, mostly unkept properties that are visible now that the snow's all gone and grass is growing like a weed. That's it for the bylaw.
Council, any questions on bylaw? Any concerns? No? Councillor Bushel?
Maybe if while we're on bylaw, Dean give us an update on Petrocan cleanup? Yeah, I can. The Petrocan site is in receivership, so I'm working with the receiver. They removed the blue bin, which was very unsightly and was very welcome to see. They found actually who owned the blue bin and returned it to them, which is great. There was a number of pieces of construction material that did get moved off the site. Unfortunately, not as much as was needed before the windstorm came, but I did see an effort made to remove additional ones this week. They hired a local contractor who has done the landscape maintenance. So the weed whacking, I see there's a bit more still to do. They do have a contractor that's going to continue with that work. They did install the traffic cones as well as the barricades as we requested, so we don't have vehicles sort of wandering into the site. And they do have, for a number of reasons, regular security. So they're doing security patrols every hour, I believe, every 2 hours on the site. And I've met with the security people while they're on site. This is partly related to the property being in receivership and partly related to the incident they had where they had a fire call out to the site. Somebody tried to break into it. So securing the property has been a high priority for both the receiver as well as the RCMP. Thank you. Could we just give them another poke, see if they could do a little more cleanup in the back before the long weekend? I just, you know, because it's that stuff's still out there, still blowing around, and just be nice to give them a little poke and say, clean it up. I'm not sure, but it's really first impression when you come into the community. Well, certainly I can get in touch with them again this week. They've been very open to communicating, so I'm sure that they will take care of it. We did ask them to remove all the construction material from the property. A lot of it's gone. Unfortunately, what they got rid of was all the good stuff. And they've kind of left behind the sort of bits and pieces, so getting it finished would be very nice. Thank you.
Councillor Beach.
Yeah, through the chair, what kind of sort of requirements do we have for, I wouldn't call it a residential property. Because it doesn't have a home on it, but on Finlayson, we have something that is kind of semi-fenced with no, you have full vision of what's being stored along there. And it's really, really not a great site. So, and it's not a full and complete effort to protect against people seeing the mess that's there. So I don't know what our requirements or what our regulations cover in terms of the kind of fencing. We've got a fence frame with no coverage, so you can see everything from both sides. I don't know how to, it's just another area we need to poke, and I know it's, yeah.
We do have, council has requested that out of staff, so we started that program with an education piece. So we worked with our communications group, put education out to the community first. So education starts it. We saw some response, but then that only was going to take care of a few people. Then we had our bylaw enforcement team gather a series of properties that do have situations like you've described. And we're going to begin to send those letters out to those people, reminding them. Hopefully that'll take care of another chunk of it. And then there may be a final chunk of it that we have to do ticketing for nuisance properties.
Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, I think after the windstorm, it's just really good for everyone to realize and understand how quickly these things can come up. I certainly saw stuff flying right by my business and chairs trying to go off the patio. And I've never seen, I thought at one point the windows were gonna blow in. It was so violent. So, you know, these bylaws that we have for unsightly premises, there is a reason for it. Those things in those situations become projectiles. And I think we saw that all last week and the potential of that. So, you know, I want to thank staff for staying on top of it, but also for just the general public to understand that if we have a lot of clutter and we have a storm like that, it becomes a dangerous situation pretty quickly. And I think we saw that firsthand last week.
Absolutely, I agree. I think my house made the internet during the storm, as a matter of fact. So anyway, there's just a couple things I wanted to clarify. Nicole, if you could help with the public parking, truck and trailer parking that was underneath the bridge that we have moved over to Finlayson. That is just day parking, is that correct?
Correct.
So we are ticketing folks that are there for going up to their cottages and leaving their truck and trailers there? Okay, good. And my other question is motorhome and tow vehicle parking now. Are we keeping an eye on that too? Because those spaces are allocated for day parking only. So, and that was the fix for the missing space from the bridge. So if we could keep an eye on those, that would be appreciated. Thanks. Any other questions on? Okay, Nicole?
Yeah, through the chair. So not a big update on the planning department. I hope everyone knows that we're actively working on updating our official community plan, which is a fairly big undertaking for the planning department. And I just want to thank the community for their participating in all of the public open houses that we had, the surveys that were going out, sitting out at ASKUs and asking people for their input. So thank you for that. Urban Systems reported today that they were very happy with the responses that the community gave, and it was meaningful feedback that we can use and incorporate inside the official community plan update. So that's great. Our attention has primarily been on that project, but in this report here, there's a handful of development permits or development variance permits that have run through council the last few months, two of which are going to be presented tonight, and then they'll be reflected in next quarter. And then in the last quarterly update, we had a ton of subdivision applications that were submitted and in review. So now all of those have been reviewed and are back in the developer's hands to complete the conditions for final subdivision. That was it for planning.
Questions, anyone? No, Then we're good. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, now we're gonna move on. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the Sycamoose Health Center. Bianca, do you want to give us an update, please?
Yeah, so, as you probably all know, Monday was first day operating out of the new health center. So we're just gonna share some pictures and a few comments, so just some exterior photos. So from the exterior, we have the, I don't know if my cursor, oh yeah, we'll show on Zoom. So we have this Main Street entrance, so this is where all of our allied health and community space users go through. And then over in this corner, we have, this is where the medical patients go into. So there's still a few things pending. We're gonna be getting some directional signage here. Now that we're in the space, we are understanding a bit where people are going. Quite a few people come up here, miss a sign if we put it here. So we're massaging it. It's best not to buy too many signs before we see how people are using the building. So we're gonna get that sorted. We're adding signage to the far parking lot. Right now it is filling up with a lot of other users. So we want to maintain that parking for users of this space because as the space gets used more, we're going to try to push employees to park in the far parking lot. Inside the community space, so our community space is already used on Sunday. It's booked again for this Saturday. And I think there's gonna be some yoga going on in it. We have a few interested couples for hosting weddings. So we might have a wedding as early as I think September. So it's pretty exciting. So it's beautiful space this year. That's me over there. This lovely divider pulls back nice and easy so it can get divided into two. So we have named this room the Lakes. And our larger side, which I wish it was on the right side, but the larger side is Shuswap and the far side, the smaller side is Mara. And it kind of goes with the architecture of the building, you know, the windows in this space are based on our lakes and the rolling of it. And yeah, so this is the picture of the prep kitchen. So we have a nice space for our caterers and stuff to put stuff and a full fridge freezer. So hopefully it'll get used a lot. And then each side of the space, so one on each side, there's a little prep area where you can put out your coffee and stuff like that. So a beautiful space. I think the community, when we have our grand opening, will really enjoy this space and we'll get a lot of interest in renting it. So we put out some comms, letting everyone know that we were moving. So thank you to Campton for that. It feels like every day since we've opened, it's okay, we need to push this out. We need to push this out. So Captain's been very busy in that. So yeah, successful relocation. The ladies there on their first day. And just a reminder, the primary care entrance is over here. We have a lot of people wandering the building right now. Everyone needs to get used to it. But yeah, beautiful seating area. So our comms put out there, thank you, Captain. And then we've also been picked up a bit. So Castanet has posted on us, Splatson shared our news release from yesterday. So just really get it. The word is spreading. Some may say trending. And yeah, so the building, we have this on all the entrances, not exactly this, but this map showing your Main Street entrance. You can go into the lakes, please rent us. Generate some income, traditional healing, which is not currently getting used, but it's in there. And then anyone going to our other professionals. So we have Eagle River Massage had patients in very first day, train that, functional physio and wellness, Shuswap Acupuncture and Health, Eagle Valley Community Support Society, which we have the lease on tonight. And then from the primary care entrance, we have the doctor's offices. We also have Shuswap Hearing Clinic has their room that's actually based out of the primary care. And then on Fridays, a lactation consultant is just one day a week going to be using a room. So getting that in there as well. And on our big brown space for now, we are still actively working to get a lab in this space. So very exciting and still a few things to work through, artwork finalization and installation, landscaping with public input to come on the greater green space, signage installation, some final contractor deficiencies. If you do go into the space, don't go, oh my gosh, what are those doors? There's temporary doors right now in the doctor's offices. Karen has really pretty ones coming. They just were delayed a bit. And yeah, so right now, looking at everyone, a bunch of calendars, our official grand opening is tentatively September 5th. Anyone has issues with that date, let us know, but that's a tentative. And once we get that nailed down, we will put out a press release on that. Tentatively September 5th right now. It's a Friday. So if there's any questions.
Thanks, Bianca. Questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, Bianca, I know you talked about extra signage, and I was always a proponent of really nice sign on that building. Have we got an artist rendering of what he decided to do on it, or any ideas?
Right now, I honestly would not touch the side of the building, given the material. Doing the entrance sign alone here is very finicky and it shows any blemishes. So putting something on, like, if you put one like on the corner, you would really have to look into that, and it might be a very costly installation.
Or I know we went through with Kelly and then with Daryl about signage, but I look at the sign there, and I don't know if anybody else has looked at the sign that we have there. I mean, it looks good. It looks good but if you walk by it and look at it, I mean.
It's getting fixed.
I was gonna say.
Yes.
And hopefully it's not the same sign. If we do other signage, it's not the same sign type. Because there's drill bits hanging out of that thing. That are glued, holding. So I just hope we do, I'm glad that's temporary or I'm just really particular on the signage. I don't know why, but I am. But thank you for telling me that
Yeah, it's getting fixed.
and noticing that.
Councillor B, should you have something else?
Yeah, I just thinking that we've got that one sign. Is there a plan for something similar to the one sign there on the other side? If you're coming
On that
from
side.
a different direction, are we looking at anything like that?
Right now, we were just looking at a directional sign right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And kind of playing it out a little bit before we spend too much money on additional signs, because they're not cheap.
Yeah. Yes, we could wait.
And once we get landscaping in here, like, it's not gonna be gravel and everything, we're hoping to make it beautiful. So getting a directional sign in here, which will still have like the name on it and everything like that, but just showing people, where to go.
Councillor Rich, Councillor Bailey, Councillor McCabe.
Through the chair. Bianca, are all the spaces rented besides the big brown space? So are all the units rented out, the smaller ones?
Yeah, so this 161 right now, we have earmarked for the private practitioners network, I want to say it is. So that is a group through Interior Health that gives free services to individuals. So they're still nailing it down because it's kind of a new program, but that'll give like free physio, but there's like a list. I think they mentioned it at the Interior Health presentation, so a bunch of free services. We've earmarked that right now for that 161. We've just sent the news release and everything to our interested lab partner. So as soon as, if we were to get a no on that, we're gung ho to fill it. Yeah.
Councillor Bailey.
Maybe it's too soon. We still need some more time to figure out where we are with the overall budget and on track, off track, or right where we need to be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right now, we're good with our 2025 budget. I'll bring up fuller.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
the craziness dies down.
Oh, yeah, of course, thanks.
Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, Mike, thank you through the chair. My question was budget related. It's just what are the current revenues coming in?
Right now, it's hitting where our 2025 budget projections are. I'm thinking that the lakes is actually probably gonna generate a little bit more, just from what we've already kind of seen. But these are bang on for, our budget projections, which, yeah.
For a second time, go ahead, Councillor Beach, and then I'll.
Through the chair, can we make sure that we plan a council to council meeting or something here for now. We just had one.
We can put that on the agenda for us to
Talk about
discuss.
that, and so that they can come and see the space.
We have one scheduled. The next one was supposed to be here.
I know. Oh,
Unfortunately, it's been postponed, so
yes.
we're looking to September.
okay.
And our communications and corporate officer team is working with the Splat scene on booking that meeting
Okay.
for September.
Yeah,
We certainly continue to have that outreach and conversation. As was noted, our press releases are going through them. The Splat scene have received that, posted on their website
Oh.
and have been in correspondence with Campton, which is great to see.
And Gord, did you want to go? No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, Bianca, thank you for staying on top of everything. You and your team are all, thank you.
And I just want to send a shout out to all of those that were involved in this project. This is such an amazing feat and an amazing project for a community our size. And we moved it forward. We stayed in the game. We focused on it. We had council, staff, grant funding. All of the stars aligned, and for us to be having this grand opening is simply amazing for our community. We have docs in our community. We don't have folks that are waiting for a doc. They can make a doctor's appointment in our community, and their healthcare be looked after. So that is so amazing, and we should all be so very, very proud of that building sitting out there and the work and the time that has gone into it and the support from the community as well. So amazing feat. I'm just super proud of everyone that's been involved in this project. Councilor McCabe.
Yeah, I echo your thoughts there. Yeah, from buying the land to designing the building and building the building and getting healthcare professionals come into the building. We have I mentioned here to help attract healthcare professionals. For a small town, we're doing some big things.
Absolutely. Councilor Beach.
Through the chair, I just want to make sure that Karen is properly noticed for this. This has been a huge undertaking for her to manage the current clinic and also help promote and advocate and, gather for the new center, and just a great job. She's done a wonderful job.
Absolutely. She's done a great job. Okay, thank you, Bianca. Okay, moving forward. Shuswap North Okanagan Rail Trail, Councillor Bushel.
Okay, Chair, I just wanted to, there's been talk about, maybe getting the GAC committee back together. I thought, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago in regards to financials, and the financials weren't produced again I think we're almost going on a year and a half now. So I'm just a little concerned about, if they are gonna start the GAC up, which I think they should. GAC is the government, the governance advisory committee. We need to get organized for that meeting. And one of the things that happened in the GAC is, the way they presented their questions is they like to vote on it at the meeting, which is always a problem, because if I was attending a meeting, I would be voting, hoping your guys are on side with what I'm voting for. And a lot of the GAC people didn't like that. They like to go back to their communities and talk to their fellow councillors and mayor and make sure that we're all in the same tune. So that's one of the big things we need to get organized for if they're going to start the GAC up again, which I think they should. I see a lot of concerns with them not providing financial statements. And I gotta say, I am the biggest fan of the rail trail. I do the rail trail at least twice a week, if not more. And I know what's going on the rail trail, and I have some concerns about our share that we're paying for the rail trail. I've always told you, we didn't become an owner. We are actually a member of the CSRD. There's 10 kilometers in the CSRD, and there's 40 kilometers in North Okanagan Regional District. Town of 2,600 people. We started off paying $63,761 a year, Enderby started off paying 34,711 a year. They have almost 500 people more than we do. Today, in 2025, we're paying 117,000. They're only paying 38,000. So they went up 4,000 and we went from 63,000 up to 117,000. Big concern for Sycamoose when the current requisition for the rail trail for the CSRD is 392,000. We're paying 30% of that. The maximum requisition could be 973,000. So that is a concern if they keep drawing on us or asking for more funds. And the problem I'm seeing on the rail trail is, we pay 117,000, not to mention, all the other communities that are paying into it. There's no maintenance being done. None whatsoever. You go down to Enderby, I walked the Enderby one, they're weed whacking down there, they're doing all kinds of stuff. Nothing's happened. They haven't touched the rail trail since they built it here. And the only erosion that we have is not where the docks are, it's where there is no docks. So that's where the erosion's at on this, from people trying to climb up and, and get to their boats on the other side or their buoys or, just get to the rail trail for that matter. And then the other problem I have is the maintenance, the no parking, no signage to the parking area that they, so to speak, have on the far side. If you don't have parking, you have problems with people going through our residents' yard. It's our residents that are feeling the pain over there. People are parking everywhere and going through their yards and I mean, some is okay, but some owners aren't okay with it, right? So we have to help our owners, our residents, and protect them, but we have to get ready for this GAC meeting that they're gonna have. And I'm just concerned that Sycamoose is not getting a fair shake. We're paying 30% and it could get a lot more, and we could be paying a lot more. And I think we should be concerned, and that's why I asked for a service review. I haven't asked for it, but I think we should ask for it. And it's not a fair deal for Sycamoose. Sycamoose residents. I love the rail trail and I will support it. It's just got to be fair, that's all. So I think we should have whether we have a work group or a cow meeting one day where we actually focus an hour on what we're going to present and what we're going to do at that GAC meeting in August. So that's my wish anyways.
Councillor Bailey.
I totally agree with everything Robert, Councillor Bush said. I think the rail trail falls in two categories. One, everyone loves it and wants to see it to be the economic benefit and all of the things that it can be. And then there's a whole bunch of other items over on the other column that, seems to continually evolve, right? And the finances are one of them that is quite concerning. The transparency around it, I think, is also extremely concerning for me. How does this get calculated? Where are the financials? I get worried as a business guy when you asked for financials a year ago and they're still not here. I mean, that's a bit of a red flag. Actually, it's more than a red flag. I think it should be something that is very documented and should be easily available for everybody, including municipalities, to take a look at. I guess my concern is that we don't want to lose sight of what it could bring to the community, but we do have to really dial in on the administrative side and the management side of it. And I think that's where it's clearly falling down a little bit. I felt that we've had a lot of say in it, but we certainly have to pay the bills. And that's fair. It has to get paid for somehow, but there has to be a level of accountability there that I don't feel like, it has been, and others have brought up these concerns too. So I guess from my perspective, I'm looking to see how this GAC committee goes, whether this is going to be a substantive change and it's going to be a forum where things get listened to, or whether it's just more, here's how it's going to go and thanks for coming and we're going to inform you how it's going to go. I think if that's the case, then I would be for a service review. I want to make sure we give the rail trail every chance to succeed and also a chance to get back on track. I feel like there's some acknowledgement that there are problems, there's significant problems. And that's good. That's the first sign I've seen in 2 years where there's that acknowledgement. So, you know, I agree. We should have a discussion about what we want a representative, and I think Siobhan's going to that meeting to talk about or vote on a GAC. I don't know if we know the agenda yet, but I think it'd be useful for everybody to have that discussion. And I think we're all kind of aligned mostly on some of this management stuff. But without knowing the agenda, it's obviously very hard to discuss. Go ahead, Tim.
Two representatives on GAC are Councillor Bushnell and Councillor Bailey.
Oh,
There's the round
You
table.
too, you too, yeah.
The round table component is Councillor Rich and Councillor Beach.
oh, the round, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Right,
We haven't seen a scheduled time or agenda yet.
okay, well,
But I'm gonna echo what you guys are saying, and I do agree that there needs to be more transparency. The longer this trail takes, the more money it's gonna cost, and right now it's taking a very long time to nail down the trail. And I find the committee is bouncing from point to point. Last week, they're talking about, Grinrod, and we don't even have signs put up here in Sycamore. So they're literally bouncing all over the place. So there needs to be a set plan and what are we doing and how quickly are we handling it? And let's step by step this out and get it complete, because it is going to cost us more money. So I do believe that perhaps we should have Council Cow or meeting to discuss what Gordon and Ian need to take to this meeting. And
My recommendation to council would be is we haven't seen a date or an agenda yet.
right.
It's kind of hard to sort of schedule it. Once we have a date and an agenda, I'll put out an email to council and we'll make a recommendation on how to get input for that meeting so that you two as the representatives feel comfortable going forward. And if we need to have a committee meeting or another meeting to get formal input for you and you're not satisfied that we've got enough through sort of an online component to it, we certainly can look at doing that.
Okay.
And I do think that Bianca has some numbers that you guys can take, take with you as well that she's got sorted out. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, I kind of mentioned it to Dean yesterday I wouldn't mind spending some more time with Dean Bianca because there are some numbers that are really alarming. Like, I mean, when we have, 10K in our community or our area and they have 40, and this year Nord pays less than we do. $48,000 less than us. Nord's paying $48,000 less than us in the CSRD. It just doesn't make sense. And when they are starting to look at changing the budget, because they want to look at leasing or buying land in Grinrod, they're making financial decisions on our behalf. We're gonna have to pay for it. And it doesn't make sense that they can make those decisions or change the budget. They haven't updated the budget since COVID. And the budget went from 8 million to 23 million, and it's, who knows what it is today. They're talking about a bridge in Nord. There are 2 bridges in Nord.
Is it two?
Councillor Rich.
Through the chair, there is a roundtable on August 14th though.
Okay.
And then there is, I don't know if there's a GAC, but there actually is a roundtable on August 14th that I'm attending.
Go.
Thank you.
Sounds like it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think all of this is really good points, and it's the financial side of it, I think, concerns everybody. And I think, I can't quite remember the answers that we got on that. I don't think there was too many that we got in terms of what those expenditures will mean to us, but I totally agree, like if there's going to be scope expansion that is going to impact us and our rate pay, I think they really do need to go back to all the members and say, hey, are you prepared to do this? It's simply not fair to go ahead and do a massive scope or budget expansion and then say, here's your copy of the bill. As we've seen today, that we're gonna have an interesting budget time. I think, we have extra demands in our own community that we have to finance and we just need to be cognizant of how much and we're putting into this one project. So I think it'll be great to have everybody have a discussion on it once we know.
Thank you. Councillor Bushel.
And one of the other concerns, like it's the biggest concern of all, we want to get the trail done.
Yeah.
trail's not gonna happen until they get the easement sorted out. And these farmers have deep pockets and these residents out on the lake have deep pockets. And we're gonna sit here and fight this for 10 years before we can even move forward on it. So the boards have to get together and say, come on. These guys are farmers. Let's give them their easements and let's work something out with the residents here that that'll work, and let's move this project forward and let's get her done.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't feel I need a resolution, council, just like that. Enough direction, so I'll go forward. Once there's an agenda published for GAP, I'll get that out to council, make sure that my new members on the committee, but also overall council receives it. And I'll come up with a format for getting it.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean. Okay. We are at the fun part. Mayor and council reports. Councillor Evans.
I don't have anything to report except to just reiterate how I love how this community comes together when there's something like the windstorm last week. And how residents step up and community organizations and our police and our fire chiefs. Like, I couldn't believe how fast the help came in for people that were really affected by it. So kudos to all those amazing people.
Thank you. Councillor Rich.
Stopped by the Strongman and it was pretty neat and the weather it tried, but yeah, so that was really good. And just to echo Bob's words about our rescuers, but also to put in something for PW. I was down in the park the next day. The PW was in the main park. They were at the beach park. They were everywhere. There was a tree. They were taking them out. They were keeping it safe for the kids and the tourists, and PW really stepped up and we got to pat those folks on the back.
Thank you. Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, I attended an Owlhead Bike Park Trail meeting the other day and I was up there. I don't know if any of you guys had a chance to get up on the bike trail. It's not officially open, but they're still waiting on signage and everything, but it's quite neat. I mean, even if you just wanted to go for a walk, the up trail was a great walk and in the forest zone. And yeah, they did a really good job. It would have been, I think they found it a little challenging that Owlhead has got a lot of rock on it. And they could have used a little bit of crush and more crush for some of the crushed gravel for some of the turns and stuff, but it'll work its way in and play out. But hopefully we can add that to phase 2. A little bit of money on phase 2, but so that was an exciting thing. So if you get a chance, get out there or take your bike out for that matter. I attended a stage management meeting with Daryl and Dean and Jamie and Mike Miltmore. That went pretty good. We'll be hearing more about that. Planning and development meeting we had went really well the other day. And I had a couple more meetings with some new potential developers, which is good. And then, I had a tour this morning of Main Street with a resident that's now retired and wants to step it up a notch or so. So yeah, actually Deb was on that tour as well, Deb. And yeah, so we're gonna touch base with Dean and come up with some ideas. Yeah, everything else is good.
Awesome, thank you. Councillor Beach.
I managed to get out again this year, catch a bit of Adams River Invasives Day. They in terms of and also took in a community energy futures meeting, which was interesting. Talking about the future of vehicles and the changes that have to happen to make it sustainable going forward. So lots of good topics there. Other than that,
good.
I survived the storm.
Awesome. Thank you. Councillor Bailey, we want to back it up?
Yeah, well, nothing to report other than I could really get into a lot about my business, but that's not that stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, not much to report. I attended music in the park and it started raining at 8:30 and it music in the park ended at 8:30. So it started raining real heavy
Time and
right at 8:30. So they snuck a venue in there that was already postponed 1 week. So
Yeah.
it went over well. It was quite well attended for considering the weather.
Mhm.
And I stopped in at the strongman event. That's about it.
That's good. Good for you. Thank you. I attended the CSRD meeting, but that was the day after the storm. So my Zoom moments in the CSRD meeting were, I was zooming in and out of the Zoom. So it was an interesting meeting. However, some of you are aware that live down Cambie-Salsqua and Old Town Road, that the power was out for 24 hours. It wasn't a 4 or 5 hour hiccup. It wasn't a 12-hour hiccup. It was 25 or 24 hours. So of course, I did get a hold of BC Hydro because I don't feel that that's acceptable for our community, especially when it affected so many businesses and residents. Sustainable farms out there that are taking care of, feeding people here, and of course, the houseboat companies and the plant that have so many people employed there. So it was a bit of a catastrophe, a big miss for BC Hydro, getting that power up and running. So I did have a conversation with them, and I do have a meeting set up with them for September, just so that they understand our community and our needs, and shutting or no power in peak season, no power in peak hours. Just, it doesn't work for us. And I'm understanding their priorities and us not being on that high priority list because there's no lives lost or threat to life. But once all that was taken care of, it at the end of the day, for me, it still shouldn't have been 24 hours. So looking into that. Also, invasive species education will be out at Old Town Bay Marina on August the 25th. So there'll be clean, drain and drying and educating folks on all of that. And yeah, I'm going to echo a couple of you as far as our district staff, our RCMP, our fire department, and the amazing job they did cleaning up after storm last week. And you can, there still is a little bit here and there, but majority is done and did an amazing job and worked tirelessly without complaining. So hats off to them. So, and that's it for me. And now we're going to go to public. Any questions from the public? Deb, go ahead.
So, just a couple things. One, I just want to say my rental on Riverside got nailed on Wednesday. Roof, siding, electrical taken out. I think it's probably fixed now, everything. Just saying. So it's not just, like all of the fire department, all those guys are great, but our contractors and trades in town are, boom, it's done then. So the tenant was hardly impacted. I would like to get some kind of informal direction from council, in that one of the things that I presented to you guys back in January was about the Communities in Bloom kind of taking a lead in the Healing Center Gardens and making it a showcase project for our submission to Communities in Bloom this year, since we weren't getting the judges in. Now, I know it's always been a little tricky for a whole lot of reasons, and if it's not going to happen in time for my submission, the one thing I'll mention to you guys is I've got at least half a dozen fabulous 4x4 Indigenous art boards. And I had originally thought about maybe making it a trail through the one area. But another option I might put out to you, especially given what you're talking about signage with parking and that, is they could be a really good screen for the parking from the green space, and then you could have signage on the other side of that talking about, this is for the Healing Center. I didn't want to do a delegation, you already had a full thing, but just, informally, what, you might want me to do in terms of pivoting on this if we're not going to be able to go forward the other way.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
I'll keep talking to Daryl and such, but it's just,
Be great if I could join your meeting, and we'll part, because we're developing that process for the public consultation, which was promised when the Health Healing Center was being developed. So as we incorporate that into the public consultation that's gonna happen this fall, definitely would like to have those, be a part of those meetings. So if you're gonna book the meetings with Daryl, just ask him to involve me as well.
Okay, and so you're talking about the fall, which is fine, but that means that my showcase submission isn't gonna be done in time, but that's okay too. I know that there's an issue with digging. I don't know if we could do temporary installations with the artboards by just compounding them into the ground with rebar, you know, like with a fence post tops or, anyway, I'm just kind of.
We had promised that we would have consultation before we did any work in there. So no works, we've committed to not doing any works and disturbing anything until such time as we had that consultation take place. So that is the district's commitment, so we need to follow through with that.
Okay, I will put my thinking cap on it. If any of you guys got any ideas on an alternate showcase submission,
And I'm happy to support you. Get in touch with me, we can talk about it location.
I still think the building itself is fabulous and could be our showcase submission. It's not your typical communities and bloom submission, but you know, it could be, you know, too. So, and then just talk about how we're positioning it for the future too. So as far as the other, so.
With Dean on that. Okay, and one thing I did forget to mention today was the ribbon cutting at the school, which is the history trails that the Chamber of Commerce has put together with QR codes. So you can have a walk around our community, hit the QR code, and it gives you the audio of what's going on and where you're going. And it also gives you what the space looked like years ago and what it looks like today. So it's a great addition to our community, and Sheila did a great job. So hats off to Sheila.
This possible alternative too, because of the heritage component.
Okay, no, sounds good. Okay, we are gonna call council at 3:02. Could I get a mover? Counselor Evans, Counselor Bushell, all in favor of adjournment? Thank you very much. And